Welcome back, guys. As always, Hot Mess Espresso is very proudly sponsored by 502 Media. We have Kayce Hodes on the pod today, who is a mama, but also a therapist and a coach and works with all sorts of maternal things. So, hello.
Hi, Heather. Thanks for having me.
Of course, one of these days I'll get better at these introductions. Today's not that day, though.
That's totally
Um,
fine.
so, what sections, I guess, or facets of therapy do you work in with, especially with like prenatal, postnatal, all of that?
Yeah, well, I'm certified in perinatal mental health, and perinatal is one of those confusing terms, but basically it means around birth. So,
Mm-hmm.
pregnancy, so from the point of, conception throughout the whole first year of baby's life. It's basically perinatal, and that is the time when women can really struggle with mood disorders and just the adjustment to motherhood is a lot. And
Mm-hmm.
pregnancy can be full of, physical. I mean, it's always full of physical changes, but
Right.
for some women, the physical changes plus the hormones plus just, everybody in their life wanting to, touch their belly and give them advice. It's a
Ugh.
lot to deal with. And right.
I'm just that is that, no. No.
Right. Yeah, everybody has an opinion, from the
Mm-hmm.
minute a woman finds out she's pregnant, and it's overwhelming. And I really love working with highly sensitive women because I found in my own experience pregnancy and motherhood to be very overstimulating.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize I was highly sensitive until my son was probably like 4, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, that makes a lot of sense now. So yeah.
No, the toddlers are just overstimulating. There's,
Oh
you got
God.
the I'm just an aunt, but like I've spent a lot of time like raising my nephew and all of that and like just with kids and when you got the TV going and then someone's got a like really noisy toy and then all of the really noisy toys and then they're running around screaming because they're not paying attention to either the toy or the TV and then they want to like crawl up inside you and you're just like, I swear to God, if I so I can't imagine what it's like being a mom and doing that all
Yeah.
day, every day.
Yeah, moms talk to me about feeling touched out
Yeah.
because their child, and when they're babies, you
Mhm.
hold them a lot. So like there just always feels like somebody is on you, and it's really overwhelming. And like this from being an auntie,
Mhm.
toddlers are like permanently sticky, right? Like
I
they have
swear to
something
God, I'm
on them.
like, "What did you get into?" I'm like, "I've literally had my eyes on you for the last hour. You haven't even been near anything remotely. How do you just, like, ooze sticky?"
I think maybe they do.
I swear to God.
Yeah, yeah, it's a lot, and it's, if you're a person who has sensory, um, uh, an oversensitivity to just all of that, any kind of
Mhm.
stimulation, then it's hard, and it takes as long as it takes to kind of adjust to that. And I think a lot of women aren't ready for that part, the overstimulation part.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't have any scientific data, but I would bet that a lot of women don't realize they are, a highly sensitive person, which, let me be clear. I don't know if you've ever talked about that on the pod before, but it's not a diagnosis. It's just a trait. It's just,
Mhm.
um, it's not a personality type, but it's just something that, some of us are highly sensitive. And that means like, we're just more aware of nonverbal cues from people. If you ever feel like, man, like I really can read people before they even open their mouths, then you're
Mhm.
probably highly sensitive. If
Yeah.
fragrances like bother you, if,
Mhm.
you like a light scent can be like just so activating, and everybody around you is like, yeah, I don't smell anything. And you do, you're
My
probably
God.
highly sensitive. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel so called out right now because I literally my ex-husband used to call it the sniffer of a bloodhound because I'd be like, "Oh my God, do you smell that?" And he's like, "I don't smell anything." And everyone else was like, "I don't smell any." And I'm like, but also I thought it was kind of like a little bit of a trauma response because, growing up in a highly like high conflict household, you had to be very hyper aware of everything going on. So like I was probably a couple
Hmm.
years ago is when I figured out that it's not normal to know who's walking up the stairs by the way that they step. And I'm like, oh, oh, that's not
Mhm.
just me being like in tune. That's me like subconsciously anticipating who the hell's walking up the stairs so I can mentally prepare for what mood they're going to be walking into my room with.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It could be probably a combination of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows, like maybe your childhood trauma, um, enhanced that sensitivity, and maybe you were already a highly sensitive kid, but, throw that trauma in there and who knows what we're working with. But it's good to be aware of all of that.
Now, I mean, this is kind of an obvious question, I guess, but does being super touched out as a mom, especially with toddlers and stuff, like severely affect partner intimacy?
Oh, for sure. Yes, like, and I think a lot of times, fathers don't understand that,
Mm-hmm.
and I shouldn't and when I say fathers, like, I also mean, same-sex, partnerships. I should say
Right.
partners. Um, Partners don't always get that, especially if, one parent is staying home with the child or
Mm-hmm.
has just a lot more interaction. Maybe they're just considered sometimes we say default parent.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that one that kind of like typically just jumps in and takes care of all the things, the messes, the feeding, all the caring, the bathing, all the stuff. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the other parent may not realize how overstimulating that is. And if the partner is not also highly sensitive, then they really don't get it. And
Right.
so I think it's important for people to communicate about all of this stuff, ahead of time, if possible, during pregnancy. That's when a lot of women realize too that they're sensitive to a lot of things that they weren't before because their body and their brain is changing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it's important to just be clear that, like, honey, it's not you. I just have had, the child touching me all day. Um, and maybe the kid has been screaming, or like, maybe it is just the touching, but like all of that sensory overstimulation can make a mother feel like just, wanting to be alone. And if you're an
Mm-hmm.
introvert, a lot of highly sensitive people are introverts. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily, it's not 100% of the time, but we do see a correlation with that. And so if you're an introvert, if you just have to be honest about, like, all this stuff is real. It's not that women are making up stuff to feel upset about.
Right.
It's real. And for
No, it's
partners
very
out
real.
there, just because you aren't experiencing the same thing doesn't mean it's not real. It just means her
Mm-hmm.
experience is different.
1,000%. Do you work with more first-time moms, or are you working with moms that are transitioning from one to two? Like, what tends to be more of your demographic?
I tend to attract those first time moms, because it's their first time being postpartum. And so it
Mm-hmm.
is like a total train wreck sometimes. And so in my marketing and my website, it speaks to those people.
Mm-hmm.
But the longer I work with this population, the more I also am working with people who are transitioning to their second, because they've been working with me since their first, and then
Right.
they're ready for number two, and it's just like, okay, and they get back in touch, and we go, because that's it's still an adjustment.
Yeah. Yeah, my best friend just had her second one, and I mean, he's the chillest baby ever, but yeah, transitioning from 1 to 2 has been rougher on the oldest one than it has them, but, because
Yeah.
that's something I didn't think to factor in either. I was like, "Oh, wait, it's rough on the oldest?"
Right, right. Everybody, the whole family is adjusting to adding another human into the mix.
Mhm.
And if we just think about that, like, yeah, that's, it's complicated. It doesn't mean that um, there definitely will be like huge problems or you need to do anything drastic to prepare. It just means, I
Mhm.
think, being aware of, okay, we're having this extra human coming into the mix. What should we talk about? How should we do this? How should we prepare the little one
Right.
for the new sibling?
Yeah, I definitely it's on video. I literally, like, they're like, "Oh, here's your sister." I'm like, "Okay, you can take her back." And they're like, "No, she's going home with us." And I'm like, "You can take her back." She's my best friend now, but I was like, I am an only child.
Right? Yeah, I
And
was
now I'm the oldest of 4, so that worked out real
oh.
well for me.
Oh, wow. Oldest of 4.
Well, 2 of them are step, but I mean, we're all
Yeah.
close enough that it's like there's 4 siblings.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, blended family stuff, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's a
We
lot,
we
you
got
know?
lucky. We got lucky with the blended family because all 4 of us kids get along fantastic, significant others, like all
Mm,
of that. It's amazing.
yeah, that's great 'cause,
Yeah,
I wouldn't
it's
say
rare.
that's common. Yeah, yeah,
No, no.
exactly.
My stepmom is so thrilled because this is exactly what she wanted. And we're like, yeah, we're all like hella close. It's great. Um,
Oh.
when you're working with new moms, what are some of the like insane, unrealistic expectations that these women are putting on themselves or they're putting on themselves because of society?
I would say okay, I love that question. I would say, like, overall, the umbrella kind of, like, struggle
Hmm.
is or the unrealistic umbrella expectation is that they are expecting to feel like themselves again, in
Ooh,
quotes. Because we send women that message, right? Like, get your, all the diet culture stuff too. Like, get your body
ugh,
back after a baby and like, and it's just
yeah,
like, okay, your body has changed forever and you have changed forever. That girl's gone.
yeah.
You are now a mother of a tiny human. Like, how can that not change you to your, on a cellular level? So
Hmm.
I try to help women just be aware that, like, there's grief too about that. You grieve who you used to be. And that's part of that adjustment and accepting that, like, okay, I'm different now. I don't have as much time as I used to have. My time is
Hmm.
not mine anymore. Um, Dealing with your partner, your relationship is not the same anymore. Your
Hmm.
friendships are not the same anymore. If you're friends with people who don't also have little humans, they're not gonna get it. They may still be very supportive, but it's not gonna be the same. Like, nothing's the same. Your energy level. I mean, good Lord, like, the pressure on women to still take care of all the things that they've taken care of before. Like, this is the 1950s. I mean, we've made progress, but not enough progress with
Right.
that. But yeah, you just not, your capacity for getting stuff done. And just feeling like you.
Hmm.
That's gonna come with time. You can't just go back to feeling like yourself. And I think just the unrealistic, yeah, we send those messages to women all the time. And also, underneath that umbrella is also like that. I'm going to instantly fall in love with my baby, and I'm going to just bond and never want to let go. And it's like, not for everybody. A lot of women do experience that initial rush of oxytocin after
Hmm.
giving birth, and breastfeeding goes fabulously, and bonding and all of that. But for many, many women, that is not the case. And it doesn't mean they're bad mothers. And it doesn't mean
Right.
there's something wrong with them. It just means that, like, we all adjust to this differently. And um, if you're struggling at all with any part of it, it's okay. There's support out
Yeah.
there, and even if you don't, need professional support, find some kind of support. Friends, social, family, like, whatever, a mom's group, because it's very isolating. Be having all these feelings that I just described, when
Hmm.
you're feeling all alone with it.
Yeah. Speaking of moms groups, actually, how do you help your clients navigate making judgment calls as a parent when they're on these Facebook pages and everything you do is wrong?
Oh, geez. The TikTok parenting university has just got to stop. It
That and the Facebook pages.
gentle
Oh my
parenting,
God.
and the Facebook groups, and I think we the internet and social media, like, we love them, right? Like
Mhm.
they can be so helpful. However, we also have to be able to trust ourselves to make our own decisions sometimes and to know that you're probably not going to screw it up. Like
Right.
you feel like every parenting decision, every bit of food that I ever feed my child, like what kind of damage is it going to do? And what is it?
Mhm.
Just how much exercise should they play sports? Should they be like, should I get them piano lessons at 3? Like, it's like, calm down.
Mhm.
It's probably going to be okay. You're probably not, it feels like you're going to damage them for life. And
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
I mean, you're probably going to screw up a little bit. That's okay. And what does
Yeah.
that even mean? Screw up, right? Like you're probably going to make some decisions. You are definitely going to lose it sometimes and yell. That's
Mhm.
okay too,
Mhm.
right? We just have to repair the the important part is being able to talk to your kid, and after you've lost it on your partner, whoever, being
Mhm.
able to repair that, and saying like, I was not my best self that day or that time, and I'm going to move ahead and, you know, try to grow and try to do better. But, social media, there's not an answer for everything. And I think that leads us, we're in these gray parenting areas like, I don't know, like this thing happened at, daycare. Should I pull them out? Should I like try and find a new school? Should I quit my job and stay at home? Like, it's just like, there isn't a right or wrong here. And everybody's just
Right.
kind of got to go through it and make decisions. And then, but most decisions you make, there's another option. It's probably not permanent. You can, you can recover from it, learn from it, and move forward.
Yeah. And I mean, you also have the added layer of older family members that are like, well, I did that and you all just turned out fine. And it's like, okay, well, like scientifically and thankfully, like when it comes to my nephew and like my family, they have been amazing with sticking to boundaries and, doing what my sister asked and this, that, and the third. But I've seen so many times that parents are like, oh, just rub whiskey on their gums. And it's like, I did that to you and you turned out just fine. And it's like, well, that wasn't what actually like royally screwed me up. It was the several other things. But at the same time, like we've discovered that's a bad idea.
Yes, right. If you're not right, if your TikTok isn't giving you advice, then like somebody in your life is. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, and just being able to trust yourself. And you bring up a good point, like about like it's the trauma. That if a mother has experienced trauma in her past, when she has a baby, it is going to all come back up,
Mm-hmm.
and it will lead her typically to question, you know, every decision, because if you're not, if you didn't have the parenting that you felt you needed as a kid, you
Mm-hmm.
somehow feel like, oh well, how am I supposed to know how to be a good parent? But you can, um, and it just takes time to adjust to it. But yeah, I think I would say like rely on, as much as possible, credible resources for things.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget your baby has a pediatrician and they have heard it all. So if there's ever anything that you want to ask or you're concerned about, call them.
Yep.
Babies make so many crazy sounds. They
Sure.
sometimes they eat, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they just decide that like they hate everything. And and there's just always something to kind of like learn from your baby. And they
Mm-hmm.
have weird rashes. Sometimes just wake up covered in hives. I mean, it's just like,
They really
oh my
do.
God. Don't they? And it's like, oh my God, what did we feed him or her that like, they're allergic to something now. I have to have them allergy tested. And it's just like, call the pediatrician. Like, don't try to figure stuff like that out on your own. Call them. If they're not concerned, they'll tell you, and if they are, they'll say, bring baby in, let's have a look. So I
Yeah.
think sometimes it's so overwhelming that like you forget that like, oh, I have trusted people to call for these kinds of questions.
Yeah. 1000%. What kind of trends are you currently seeing in postpartum care? And I say trends like very broadly because, we have come a long way with postpartum care. We still have a very long way to go. but what are some encouraging things that you're seeing, and what are some things that you're like, I can't wait until this trend just dies off?
Okay, let's see. Well, I am very happy that so many people are hiring doulas these days.
Yes.
And especially postpartum doulas, and a lot of doulas are offering like, the actual, like the birth part, and then they will add on, a week of like after like newborn care after you come home. And I think that's amazing because when you go home, um, it can be really frightening
Mhm.
to, leave the hospital or the birth center where you had all these people taking care of everything to being like it.
Yeah. Okay,
And
you're on your own.
right, in a great way. I mean, if you can, if I highly recommend it to everybody, if you can afford, if you don't have a trusted family member, a lot of people do. They have like they want their mom there or their mother-in-law or an auntie or a friend, and oh, that's
Mhm.
great. Like if you have those people in your life, I commend you and your
Mhm.
and your village because a lot of us do not have that.
No, they
Um,
don't.
And so if you gotta hire it out, you gotta hire it out. Put it on the registry. Um, and yeah, because that postpartum care is critical, I think, to getting off on the right foot. And if you have a doula there at your house with you for a few hours a day, or some of them even spend the night, um, they can assist you with anything really. Like they can bring you a snack. It's not just like learning how to change a diaper or getting comfortable with breastfeeding or bottles or whatever. It's like they're there to support you. And sometimes that support might look like running out for some groceries or making lunch or doing some laundry. So, it's
Right.
all those things that I just think we don't think enough about it during pregnancy. So, okay. So that one trend is a positive, I think.
Mhm.
Um, Also just, more midwives. There was a time when like it was weird to have a midwife, and now it's like midwives are employed at a lot of OBGYN offices, and I think that's amazing because
S
birth doesn't have to be so over medicalized.
So
So,
what is the difference between a doula and a midwife,
a
actually? If we can
midwife
kinda
is
break that down.
yes, a midwife is a healthcare provider. They are, depending on the state, they are typically nurses. So, like in North Carolina, where I live, they are CNM, certified nurse midwives. And I think in other states, they may have other, like a different kind of license or certification. But I'll just speak to what I know. And so they deliver babies. They
Mhm.
provide well woman care. So, you know, outside of pregnancy and birth, they can be your healthcare provider. Um, they let's see, doulas are not healthcare providers. They
Okay.
learn how to support a woman during birth. They do not catch the baby.
Okay.
um, they're there to support the partner too. Um, and they can help with like positioning and providing comfort, and to also a big part of their work I see as like advocacy. Like when
Mm,
you go to where you're giving birth, they can really help the couple reinforce that, like, here's our plan, here's our birth plan, this is what we would like to happen. We know
right.
we need to be flexible and things may change.
Yeah.
But the doula can kind of be there to just advocate for you. And I think because a lot more women are hiring doulas, I think the healthcare systems have had to get used to it, and I know during, early COVID, doulas weren't able to accompany couples in childbirth. And that was really hard for a lot of
Yeah.
people. Um, but now I think it's pretty much back to usual. And I think hospitals, depending on where you are, they probably expect for you to have a doula with you, some type of
Right.
support. It's not so crunchy and hippie anymore
But thank
to have
God.
one. Right.
Because, like, remember back when home births and doulas were like, I mean, this was what, like 10, 15 years ago, it was
Oh,
considered super crunchy, and now, like, it's normal. And I'm like, thank God.
yes. I was like almost like I had this like sense of like embarrassment to tell people I had a doula. When it was my son is 13, so it was 13 years ago.
Yeah.
And some people would be like, "You have a what? What's that?" And it's just like now it's pretty, I think it's pretty common. And I love that. I love that.
Mhm.
Any time that women get more support, I'm a fan of that. So a trend that I wish would go away. This is also getting better, but I think pressuring women to breastfeed, full stop. Like
Yeah, literally.
breast is best. No, no. For some women, it is not, and it has a lot of like amazing benefits. If breastfeeding goes well, amazing. If it doesn't, it can exacerbate postpartum anxiety and depression because you feel like a
Mhm.
failure, because the boob police, as one of my friends called it, will
I
come
love it.
after you.
Honestly, I think breast is best really like started to take off with these like Facebook mom groups.
Mm-hmm.
And because a lot
Mm-hmm.
of them were like almost like underground support for like super crunchy moms. And then it just turned into a lot of mom shaming.
Yeah, and myths that like you can do it. You just need to try. You just need to take this supplement or eat these you know, milk inducing cookies or like just and it's so much pressure and I went through that myself
Yeah.
and it's just, sometimes none of it works. Sometimes you can try your absolute best and your body is just like, no, not doing this. And it just
Well, and I
I
knew
know that's
somebody.
yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I knew somebody that literally, she was like producing this, that, and the third. Her kid just was not gaining weight, failure to thrive. We had to supplement with
Yeah.
a little bit of like it just happens,
Mm-hmm. Yep. Same with me.
you
That's
know?
exactly what happened. And that first 2 weeks of his life, of my son's life, were so stressful. And because we had to be in the pediatrician's office every day, like he wasn't latching. And when he would latch, he just didn't get enough to eat and he was losing weight. And they're like, you got to come in and weigh him again. And it was just not what I imagined postpartum would be like. Um,
Mhm.
and I think we just have to be honest with women that like here are all the things to like set you up for success with breastfeeding, but if it doesn't work out, it's okay. Thank you, science. We have formula. And you
Yep.
can, if it's too hard, if it's too painful, it's just like, well, it shouldn't hurt. And that means you're doing it wrong. And it's just like,
Oh
okay,
my
well then
God.
what should I be doing? And so lactation support is amazing. And most pediatricians' office have a lactation nurse, on staff, which is great. Um, but at some point, I think every mother has to decide if this is benefiting her, and if the benefits are outweighing the harm that it's causing, to her sleep and her body and just her feeling of her emotions and her mood. And if it is, then it's okay. It's okay to supplement. It's okay to go formula from the very start. Fed is best.
Exactly. Yeah, I had another mom friend of mine that she exclusively breastfed one kid, and with the next one, she literally was like, "Hey, I'm not doing this." Like it was,
Yeah.
she wasn't even gonna like test it out and see how she was like, "No, no, I'm done. I don't want to
Hmm.
do it. I don't want to feel like I'm basically a cow the whole time.
Hmm.
Like I just don't want to
Yeah.
do it." And that's
Yeah. Good
okay
for
too.
her. Yes. Yeah. Your body's still your body.
Mhm.
And
And I think that's
yeah.
what it was. She wanted her body to feel like her body
Hmm. Yeah.
instead of
Yeah.
just attached to a kid all the time.
Yeah. It's not for everybody. And it's totally okay. But I think that would be I think the trend or the myth or the whatever, the harmful advice that I wish would stop would be
Yeah,
that breastfeeding's, the only way to go.
right. How are you working with your clients to like help them protect their mental health, especially like if you get them before they have the baby?
That is my dream to have everybody to be able to catch them during pregnancy. and just help them learn like to talk to each other and to go ahead and set up like a support network. Figure out like how are you going to feed yourself, because you're still going to be a human who has needs. So you're going to have to eat, and you're going to, have a lot of laundry to do. And you and your partner have to adjust your expectations of each other and be flexible with one another and be compassionate with one another. And how can we get some of that going? And just your coping skills. Um, thinking about, I ask everybody, if I can catch them in pregnancy, I ask them, how do you cope currently with anxiety, with stress,
Ooh,
with
yeah, that's a good
how
one.
are you already with communication? Like, what happens when in your relationship something upsets you? What do you do about it? And because we can learn, like, that's 40 weeks. Pregnancy is 40 weeks, not 9 months. Newsflash.
Yeah,
That
you're
shit is
already at
10
4 when
months.
you find out.
Right. So, that's plenty of time to go ahead and start, figuring out how you best cope and what do you need when you're worried, when you're overthinking stuff. How can your partner support you? What reach out to your friends. What kind of, just regular like mental health care.
Mhm.
Getting that established during pregnancy is going to set you up to be able to cope in postpartum. I'm not saying it makes postpartum easy.
Mhm.
This is not supposed to be easy. But if you already have some coping mechanisms that that taking a walk helps you calm down. If you know
Mhm.
that getting a certain amount of sleep is important to you, then you can go ahead and talk about that with your partner. Because if you are breastfeeding and your baby will take a bottle and you're pumping, or if you are doing formula, even better for your sleep.
Right.
Because other people can feed the baby. Because newborns, most of them have to eat about every 2 hours when you first bring them home. That means through the night, too. Unless you have a magical newborn.
Yeah.
If you have if you gave birth to a unicorn, great. But
Right.
if not, that baby's going to need to eat, and they do not know night and day. They don't know anything. Uh,
No.
so, so being able to, like, if you and your partner, this is gold. This right here, what I'm about to tell you. If each of you can figure out a way to get 4 hours, a chunk of 4 hours of sleep, you can do this. That is not sustainable over your whole life,
Right.
but for those first few months until your baby can sleep through the night, if you guys can get 4 hours of sleep each, and it's a game changer. Nobody told me that. So I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, just to kind of like wrap, and I guess this should have been the first question, but what got you into this? Was it your own postpartum journey, or has this just always been a passion of yours?
Oh my God. It was my postpartum journey. I was already a therapist, and
Mhm.
my main specialty back then was loss and grief. So that was a natural, progression to motherhood, because there's a lot of loss and grief in
Yeah.
parenting. And I struggled really, like, I would say the first 2 years of my son's life. I was just like, what am I doing? What did I do in my life? It was
Mhm.
so much harder than I ever expected. Um, and there just weren't as many resources in my local area as there are now, which is another great change. That,
Right.
most people understand postpartum comes with a lot of mood and anxiety stuff, and so it's not so crazy when a woman says, like, oh yeah, I experienced postpartum anxiety or depression, or I just had a hard time with the adjustment to motherhood. It's not so surprising anymore. I think that's good. But yeah, when and I finally, my adjustment was just, it had its own challenges.
Mhm.
Um, and once I was able to feel better again, with the help of my own therapist, and just taking better care of myself and really like accepting that, I, I'm different now and I have to have different expectations of myself. I need to prioritize my mental health. So after that, I was in a better place, and I saw a training about perinatal mood and anxiety disorders. And I was like, oh, huh. Took that training, and that was it. I felt so seen going to that. It was like a 2-day training for therapists. And I was like, yes, yes, please, more of this. And so I just made it my mission. I was like, I'm telling the truth about this.
Right.
I am going to be there because if nobody else is going to tell the truth to women, somebody's got to.
Right.
Yeah, not to
1,000%.
scare people. Sometimes I feel like I come across
Right.
as like scaring people out of having children, but no, I just want people to be prepared. And I hate when it's just, when women are suffering in silence and isolation, when there's support out there. So did I answer your question? That's why.
I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah. One more before I let you go. If there's one piece of advice, and I know there's a million pieces you could, but what's your go-to one piece of advice?
Oh, I got you. GPS. Remember, GPS. G is for go outside. Go outside. Take the baby or go by yourself. Like if you have childcare or if the baby's somewhere safe, just step outside for some fresh air. Even if it's cloudy, even if it's raining, snowing, I don't care. Step outside and breathe in and breathe out because your brain needs to know that you're okay. You're going outside. Look at us going outside. Everything must be okay. P is for protein. So have your junk food, but just make sure you get enough protein because it really does help with stabilizing mood. So have some go-to easy snacks with protein. Cheese, hard-boiled eggs. What else?
Chopsticks.
Yeah, exactly. And then S is for sleep. Get some sleep. This is not sleep when the baby sleeps. This is not that advice. Although, like, if you can do that, great. But
Right.
talk with your partner. And if you know you are somebody who needs 8 to 9 hours of sleep a night, you're not going to be getting that. And it is horrible for your mental health. So let's figure out how to get at least, those 4 hours. So yeah, GPS. That's my little nugget of wisdom for everybody out there struggling.
Perfect. Where can we find you?
KayceHodes.com. I would love for you to go and check out my website and, join my email list. I have some coaching offers on there, and I love meeting people where they are. And so take a look at how I might be able to support you and reach out.
Kayce, thank you so much.
Thank you, Heather. This was great.